I thought I would try to come up with a list that's a bit different to do for the Bond films. Best Bond movies, hottest Bond girls, greatest stunts, best villains. It's all been done. So how about a list of lines of dialogue from the Bond series that I find are just a hoot to say? I mean, it sounds a bit random and maybe not as exciting as the best Bond lines, but ever since seeing these movies, I've found myself strangely repeating some of these lines. They're not the best lines, they're not the funniest lines, and some of them are just plain dumb. Some are just throwaway lines, but thanks to the actors, the delivery of the lines, the way they read them, the take that was decided to use, or just the fact that some of them are so terrible, they've penetrated my brain and I just dig repeating them in the same way I heard them in the movies. I mean, maybe I'm the only one who gets their kicks by doing this stupid stuff. I know everyone has said Bond, James Bond, but to me it's more fun to quote some of these. So here's 10 of them, since everyone likes lists with that number. I'll call this list 10 lines from James Bond films that are a real kick to quote because they're delivered so badly, sound so silly, or ideally both. In no particular order.
At Sancho's house?
See, Francis, take him on a trip. They leave in an hour. You must help him. If anything happens to him, I don't know what I'll do. I love James so much.
This statement sounds so unconvincing, it's laughable. Talisa Soda is not the strongest actor in License. She's pretty bad, actually, and she doesn't give a very good performance. But out of all of her scenes, this is the moment I always remember.
I love James so much.
Never mind that suddenly Lupe is saying she's in love with Bond. The way Soto says it is just so awful.
I love James so much.
It's so melodramatic, but somehow it doesn't have an ounce of passion behind it. I love James so much. Oof. I can believe Tiger's affection for Bond more than Lupe's.
I love you.
I thought we had a private business deal to settle. Now I find I'm attending our Hood's convention.
Goldfinger?
Yeah, sure, classic film. That doesn't mean there's some bad stuff in it. Like this gangster who tells Goldfinger,
"And you owe me $1 million."
Everyone loves to quote Dr. Evil's $1 million thing. Let me tell you, that is over. It's been over for a long time now. It's not clever or funny to hear anymore. This one is much better. "And you owe me $1 million." Such a simple line. I don't know why it sticks in my head. I mean, maybe it's the added finger he points at Goldfinger to drill home the statement that adds to my enjoyment of it. I end up repeating this line more than any of Goldfinger's lines in the scene. Like, Fort Knox, it's a bank like any other.
"And you owe me $1 million."
So that if I should depart this world, suddenly you'll have something to remember me by.
Something like that. It's for my scrapbook. I collect memories.
Only Bond could have no plans for the evening and get invited to have dinner and a bedroom romp with a hot blonde. Christina Wayborn is gorgeous, but her voice sounds like it goes back and forth during the whole movie. At one point later, it sounds like they dubbed her in, or she was playing up an accent more.
Where was Kamal going?
Back to India.
Something weird is going on. Back to India. Is it me? I mean, this scrapbook line, it's the pauses that make it so good. It's for my scrapbook. I collect memories. It's really cheesy and very soap opera-ish. I really dig the badly done, suggestive lines that lead Bond to rolling around in beds with chicks. I mean, some can be pretty eye-rolling. This whole scene is just weird. The way Magda speaks, like her previous line. Something like that. It looks like she's really trying hard to enunciate her words and, I don't know, and speaking as slowly and seductively as she can. I mean, when the scene plays, I'm more focused on how she's saying her lines than the actual flirty banter going on.
It's for my scrapbook. I collect memories.
And if the party's still on? It's a long story, Felix, but in the end, Pushkin makes a miraculous recovery.
You mean this is a put-up job?
I was never crazy about John Terry's Felix. He's only in 2 scenes and doesn't do much, but every time I try to think why I didn't like him, it's based on this line of dialogue. "You mean this is a put-up job?" He's awfully stiff, and I just don't buy it. I like the way he waves the gun a bit. That adds a bit to the awkwardness to this line.
"You mean this is a put-up job?"
Okay, so shove a couple gallons in.
Well, back it up.
Keep leaning on that tooter, Charlie, and you're gonna get a shot in the mouth.
Tiffany Case is not the classiest Bond girl. I can't imagine Vesper or Tracy saying this. I guess they knew that, and they gave her some of this rough gal dialogue. This is actually the most memorable thing by Jill St. John in the entire movie. I mean, not counting her looking great in her bikini. As much as I don't care for the movie or her as a Bond girl, I do love this line. "Keep leaning on that tooter, Charlie, and you're gonna get a shot in the mouth." I mean, there's so much going on here. It's such old-fashioned slang. I just can't help but love it. Never in my lifetime have I heard anyone refer to a car horn as a tooter. I mean, calling someone Charlie, and then wrap it up with a shot in the mouth. I mean, not a punch, a shot. I mean, what a great quote-worthy line that is in a bad Bond flick.
Keep leaning on that tooter, Charlie, and you're gonna get a shot in the mouth.
I don't follow.
If we could identify that someone...
Why don't you try the identigraph?
Yes, sir.
Well, get cracking, 007.
Minister?
Jeffrey Keene appeared as Minister of Defense in 6 Bond flicks. He would usually be alongside M at the beginning briefings, and then show up at the end. Out of all of his appearances and dialogue, it's these frustrated mumbles that I always remember and laugh at every time I watch the movie.
Ah, there you are, 007.
Minister?
Maybe it's because Keene looks like such an upper-class, well-dressed, intelligent chap. He's in on all the important missions and information being, talked about. And then him being frustrated and dismissive with Bond and adding in these grunts at him is just something so surprising. He doesn't lecture or roll his eyes. He just does that, Would these be called interjections or grunts? Monosyllables? Annoyance noise? I don't know. But when he does them, they're as funny as hell. And real easy to imitate, too. I wonder if they were in the script or he just added them himself.
Ah, there you are, 007.
My name is Dr. Kaufman. I am an outstanding pistol marksman. Take my word for it, yeah?
Take my word for it, yeah? This is a great scene. It's probably my favorite in the whole Brosnan age. But I just never understood this overdone German accent Vincent Schiavelli puts on. It's almost like parody. It's like a voice I'd expect to hear in an old World War II movie when they had anyone play Germans and they all just did bad accents. Or even Boris and Natasha, their Russian little accents, let's get moose and squirrel. I mean, he sounds like a Brooklyn-born actor doing a bad German accent. Yeah? It might have been better had they just used Gilbert Gottfried or someone for this part.
Believe me, Mr. Bond, I could shoot you from Stuttgart and still create the proper effect. Yeah.
It's still a good scene, and he has some funny lines, but this accent by Dr. Kaufman is pretty distracting. And now I base my German impression on Dr. Kaufman. Yeah?
Take my word for it, yeah?
$100 a month out of your paycheck.
I really don't get this police captain. He's so cartoony, and he's just there to provide some fun comedy during the big San Francisco chase scene. And he's not funny at all. They should have just had the return of J.W. Pepper to appear here. I mean, he has some dopey lines, but my favorite is when his car gets crushed, and all he can mutter is a cartoon sound of frustration. I wonder if that was actually in the script, or they just told him, go have fun with it. I don't know, it's like Dennis the Menace just broke Mr. Wilson's window and he came running out to his porch and go, oh! It's like I'm waiting for him to say, those blasted kids, and wave his fist in the air. Special mention has to go to when he orders for the bridge to be raised. You know, now he's just about to, like, you know, capture this guy who might have murdered someone, who burnt down, you know, City Hall, who, like, you know, led police on this high-speed chase. And what's he say?
I got him. Oh, jeez, I got him.
This is San Francisco's finest.
You coming out? All right, then. We'll be back. We'll be back with the dogs. Full speed ahead.
So this boat captain guy's got the megaphone telling Bond to come on out for what seems like an eternity. I love this guy, though. They must have told him that, like, you know, he's playing a bad guy because he has a real exaggerated grimace on his face the whole time. It's so overly done. It's like they told him to make sure both sides of his mouth were as far down as he could manage while still talking. He has a strange sounding voice, too. It's like he's almost like barking the commands, saying each sentence like really quickly. All right, folks, come on out, and you won't get hurt. And I love how the guy is so incredibly persistent. After firing all the guns at them, he still asks, all right, you coming out now? We'll be back. We'll be back with the dogs. You want to come out? Count of 3. This is your last warning. Like, I sometimes think this guy could have gone on for hours with these threats. I mean, dude, the Bond's not coming out, so just leave. And of course, the topper to this whole scene is like when he finally gives up and tells his crew full speed ahead, his voice still sounds like he's using the megaphone.
We'll be back. We'll be back with the dogs. Full speed ahead.
I love telling people, all right, we'll be back. We'll be back with the dogs. Full speed ahead.
So what do predators do when the sun goes down?
They feast like there's no tomorrow.
I could easily list 10 lines just from this flick, but I'm going to cheat here and include this whole Cuban bar beach scene. From beginning to end, it's all hilariously bad. What joy it is to recite it all. I find it hysterical that the press was so excited about this scene when it was being filmed, just because, you know, Halle Berry in her bikini. I mean, they went nuts for it. They were taking non-stop pictures, kept on talking about it. Oh my goodness, Halle is going to wear Ursula Andress' bikini. They're redoing that classic introduction of the most famous Bond girl ever. What a great scene this will be. Like, no one ever asked, so what's the rest of this scene consist of after she pops out of the water? Yeah, they didn't want to talk about that part. I mean, it's abysmal. Halle and Braz are awful. Every time I watch it, I feel embarrassed for him. There's a lot of great little terrible lines to repeat here. If I had the time. Wow. Now there's a mouthful. Nothing to see till morning. Not out there, anyway. My personal favorite?
So what do predators do when the sun goes down?
They feast like there's no tomorrow. Whoever thought this bird metaphor pickup scene was a good idea? I mean, has anyone apologized for this scene? I never heard anything. Did they send out a press release for that? You know how they have actors' workshops and they give the students scenes to perform in front of everyone? You know, some acting teacher should hand this scene to his students and say, okay, let's see how good you really are. I'd love to see different actors do their own take on this horribleness.
They feast like there's no tomorrow.
Love that pause.
Ah, there you are, 007.
Minister,